Candace Owens sit down with Shawn Ryan, and I heard it is not normal. So, I heard it is debuting on YouTube today. Luckily, I'm back in the studio with nothing to do but to listen to this interview, right? And what I'm gonna do, I don't know what my reaction is gonna be, to be honest, but I believe I need to catch it on film. I honestly believe that. So I haven't started listening to it as yet. Get my, camera rolling, everything set up, my lights kind of good, and then I'm gonna kickstart it. So, Shawn Ryan, Candace Owens. Let's see.
Candace Owens, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to do this.
You and me both.
You've done everybody but me.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
Right? Yeah, I'm just like being completely left out.
Well, dude, I've been nervous to meet you.
Really?
Fuck yeah, I'm nervous to meet you.
I feel like I
don't want to get on your bad side.
Me?
Me? Little old me?
Sounds like there's some rumors out there about me. I got to clear up. I'm so nice. I'm so friendly.
Well, me and our mutual friend Dana had a lot of conversations. I was like, I don't know.
By the way, it is 4 hours and 44 minutes long. It is long. I don't even know if I'll be able to sit out 4 hours and 44 minutes of this interview. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if I got time for this.
I don't want to wind up on her bad side. The show spoke very highly of you, so.
It's interesting to think about that, like what people think about you before they meet you, because obviously, as you know, there's always going to be like the caricature, you know what I mean? And so we obviously have to rely on, I don't know, articles, what you hear, what's happening. And I guess there's always that moment where you're like, I wonder if it meets what I think I know about her.
It didn't.
It didn't.
Way better.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Obviously. So, yeah, I was, man, I'm glad we had dinner that night.
Yeah, it was such a great dinner. I mean, your wife's amazing and your story is amazing. And I was always keen to do your show. I was like, wow, he's right here. We're like living in the same town. We were almost neighbors. And you just do great stuff.
Man, I really wish that would have happened.
Yeah.
The neighbor thing.
I know. Almost. Who knows? Maybe in the future.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot to cover today.
We do.
Dude.
A lot going on, man.
No kidding.
Oh, shit.
But let me start you off with an introduction. Not that you need one, right? Candace Owens, you're a political commentator, author, and independent journalist known for challenging mainstream narratives and tackling controversial issues. Over the past decade, you've become one of the most influential voices in all of media, building a massive audience through your commentary and investigative reporting. Today, through your independent platform, you continue to cover politics, culture, and current events while questioning official narratives and sparking national debate. And most importantly, you're a Catholic.
Most importantly, I'm a Catholic, a mother, a wife.
That's right. And so before we get into your life story and all the other stuff that we're going to talk about, a couple things to get through. I have a Patreon account. Do you have a Patreon?
I was on Patreon, and I don't think I am anymore. But I know all about Patreon.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, we're on there, and they're the reason I get to sit down with you today. So they get the opportunity to ask every single guest a question. So this is from Kim Turner. Candace, You faced intense public criticism, particularly accusations of disloyalty to the Black community and the Christian community for holding independent views. How do you maintain your composure and stay grounded in who you are when those attacks get personal?
I don't know that I pay too much attention to the criticism that's lobbed at me anymore, only because it's constant. And if I spent every day worried about what other people were thinking about me or allowing them to define who I am, I wouldn't get out of bed. And I've got 4 toddlers at home, so I just shut that entire part of my life off. And people are very surprised by that, but it truly doesn't impact me. I know who I am, so I don't have to go to the internet to learn about who I am.
You legit, it doesn't bother you at all?
No, it genuinely doesn't bother me at all. I'm definitely, I think, battle hardened. I think over time, maybe when I was just getting started, I felt, I don't know, maybe a twinge of that's not fair, that's not true. But when you have substance in your life, like real substance, and you're not swimming in your own insecurities, meaning when I first got started, I wasn't married. I didn't have, I didn't have my family. I didn't have kids relying on me. So life is just so much more substance now, so real.
Wow. Man, I mean, I'm a lot better at it than when I first started, but man, this shit bothers me.
Really?
Yeah. And then I see like the Time magazine cover thing that Trump posted about you.
Oh, gosh.
Tweeting about you.
Yeah, that was a moment.
All of your enemies.
Right.
You have a lot of enemies.
I can't even believe that I forgot about the Trump thing, the Trump tweet.
You forgot about it?
Yeah, until you just mentioned it, it's just not even something that I even think about. It was so strange. It was so strange. I was in Italy getting confirmed by a cardinal, and that I was so excited about it. And it was just, it's weird because it's the president of the United States. And it's something that maybe you would expect to see if you're in high school and people are trying to like find ways to hurt you. But when the president of the United States is like, you're fat, you're ugly, that it just feels weird. It was just very strange.
Well, it is weird.
It's weird. Objectively, I thought it was very strange. And I don't have...
Did he forget he started a war?
Yeah, I know.
Isn't that a little more important than fucking generating AI Time magazine cover photos about podcasters? And
beyond that, just kind of basically saying you're ugly is just, there's something so elementary about it. I'm just not in high school. That's not something that I wake up every day and wonder, does the president of the United States think I'm hot or not? There's something about it that's just like, okay, he's got a type and he said Brigitte Macron's hotter than me. He's allowed. It's a free country,
Yeah.
That was definitely a moment where I was going, these is some strange enemies to have.
Did you find humor in it?
I genuinely, at the time, there was just so much going on. I was in Italy and my phone started blowing up, and I was so excited about the eve of my confirmation and I had just had this wonderful dinner with my priest, and I had a meeting with the cardinal about the confirmation, that I just turned my phone off because I didn't want to even let in whatever energy that was. Nope, you're not ruining my day. And I felt like I was like on the eve of my wedding or something. And there was too much spiritual goodness that was surrounding me, I guess is the best way to put it. We had planned that trip for a very long time for me to go to Italy and get confirmed. And I just wasn't going to allow that to be a memory. And so I just was like, I'll deal with that when I get back. And such a strange thing to be in a place where you're putting the president of the United States on hold. Everyone, I guess, was waiting for a response. And I was like,
I don't have time for this shit.
That was it. It was, I don't have time for this. I'm really excited. And this is my wedding day, so to speak. And that was that. And then we had a fantastic time in Italy. And then when I got home and the podcast was back on, I was like, okay, now where's the child? Time to address the child. Here, shame on you. This is not a good look for you. And I don't have that. I don't wake up every day wondering if the president thinks I'm pretty. That's just not a part of my life.
Well, as many enemies as you have, they give you a lot of attention.
They do.
I think it helps you a lot more than it hurts you, which is pretty cool.
Definitely don't think that a moment like that empowers Trump. That's what I would say. I think it diminishes him in a way. You shouldn't relinquish your power like that as the president, to dig up a photo of me when I was sick, and I shared that photo, by the way.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that photo is real. I shared it early on in politics to talk about, I went through a really tough time when, what was it, 2015, I got sick from mold illness. And I never thought I was going to be the same person. It was a leak, an HVAC leak that happened in my building, and it destroyed my insides. I mean, it started what's known as candidiasis growth in my body. Overnight, I felt like my whole life was taken from me. I couldn't think. And if you don't know what toxic mold illness is, it's almost impossible to describe. But I had head to toe overnight eczema. I had never had eczema. Athlete's foot. My eyes were red and just kept pussing. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening, why it was happening. My hair fell out. And in the scheme of everything that was going on, the worst part of it, forgetting the physical and not recognizing yourself in the mirror, because I could share worse photos than he shared. I was like, if you want them all, this is actually I look pretty good relative to what was going on head to toe. But the worst part was my brain. The only way to describe it is you can't think. It's almost like being in a permanent, if you ever had like brain fog, imagine like the most intense brain fog you could ever have. And it just physically exhausted me. So I was just in bed all day, every day. And the only way to beat back that sort of mold illness, they can give you temporary pills, whatever, it's through diet. Like the most regimented diet, because sugar is what feeds it. And so it took me a year and I never thought I was going to be able to be myself again. And that was the hardest part, is not being able to think. And I have relied, I didn't realize how much I had, relied on my ability to reply, and I loved writing. And so I remember just getting on my hands and knees and praying, bargaining really actually with God, which isn't, something that you should do. But I was like, I don't even care about the physical stuff. I don't care if my hair never grows back. I don't care if I have these patches all over my face forever, if they never clear up. I don't care if I have athlete's foot once a week. Like, please just let me think. Like, please just clear the cloud in my brain. And I think about it because it was right before I became a public figure. And I just now have the perspective that I was truly humbled. Like truly humbled before, and never thought I was going to look the same. And I never even realized how much easier, how much I had relied on being like generally good looking, to kind of get through life. Like I didn't want to see anybody. And I only saw my cousin who still works with me today, and would not go out of the house, and because I was sleeping mostly the whole time and anyway. And it was a long process, a very strict diet. Obviously, I got so skinny because you kind of have to starve it.
Damn.
Yeah, you kind of have to starve it. So anything that has sugar, even fruit, feeds it. But in the retrospect, I learned how to cook everything.
So the rumor that she was anorexic, even that wasn't true? God damn.
From scratch. I learned how to eat the best ingredients. I learned about ingredients, and I became really passionate about that. That's why I garden today. So yeah, I was humbled. Right before I got into the public sphere. And so I actually look back on it quite fondly. And I think it kept me away from a lot of the vanity that comes with politics and publicity. Because I know it can just like that be taken away from me.
Man, wow. So it took you at your lowest point and exploited it all over the internet.
Yeah, and then I shared it with everybody. I was like, I've got worse pictures. I was sick. I don't know. I guess you can go around and find people when they have cancer and lose their hair and put them on a Time magazine. I was very sick, but I'm really proud of it. It's such a weird thing, but I shared it myself. And so I think what happened was, a lot of times with his team, they just look for things on the internet and they're trying to be fast and respond, and they didn't know where the source of that photo was. And it was me. I shared it back when I first entered into politics and talked about, a tough time in my life. And I'm still just very proud of it, and gratefully, thank God, I got everything back, not just my brain. My hair came back, my skin cleared, and yeah, I'm very grateful.
Man. Well, I want to do a life story on you. Actually, one more thing. Everybody gets a gift.
What am I getting? I feel like everybody gives a gift, but I don't have a life that's cool enough to match all of these gifts. I actually love gummy bears. Are these actually elite?
Yeah.
They are elite gummy bears.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't like put Vigilance elite gummy bears on here if they're not elite.
They're elite.
Okay.
Rip them open.
I'm going to have one. I'll be the judge of that.
All right.
Here we go. I love gummy bears.
Good.
Yeah. Ooh, they smell really good. I will say that. They actually smell really good. I love gummy bears. Of course, not with bread.
What do you think?
I'm not just saying this because I'm on your show. They are really good. Why are they good?
Well, because they're made in the USA.
That's it.
Michigan.
America, baby.
That's right.
250 years of elite gummy bears.
Yeah. But, all right, Candace, I want to do a life story on you, and then towards the end, we'll get into all the stuff you've been digging into for about the past year or two. Mm-hmm. So where'd you grow up?
So I was born in New York, in White Plains. That's actually where my mother grew up mostly, and she went to high school there. So a lot of my family's in that area, Rye, White Plains area. And then I went to school and had my formative years in Stamford, Connecticut, which is just kind of outside of the city. Right. It's kind of like if you have a job in the city and want to live in the suburbs, you move to Greenwich, Stamford, New Canaan, Fairfield County area.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How many siblings do you have? 3.
I have a brother and I have 2 sisters.
What's your parents do?
Well, my dad was a plumber growing up, and my mother worked at a chiropractic facility, sort of as the manager, and did a lot of the billing for them.
Okay. You guys tight?
Yes.
Tight family?
Yes. Well, my parents are divorced, so I mean, I guess you'd have to ask independently everybody's relationships, but my sisters, my siblings, we are very close. You have to have people, especially in the life that I live, who really deeply know you. And so in the morning time, every morning I get up, when I work out, call my sisters, and talk about everything. My little sister right now, she's saving up some extra money for her wedding. And so she's actually helping me right now, sort through the tips box. So we weren't close growing up though. Me and my sisters, we're a year and a half apart. So we just bludgeoned each other, over everything, pretty much.
Where you fall in the lineup?
In the middle. Can't you tell? Can't you tell? Middle child syndrome, it's a thing. It's a real thing. Shout out to everyone who's a middle child in the world right now.
Right on. What were you into as a kid? What'd you like to do?
I was always really into dance, coordinating dances. I was very sporty. I think I took after my mom in that way. My mother played basketball and cheerled when she was in high school. She didn't finish high school. My mother's a high school dropout, but she got pregnant. But when she was in high school, she was very athletic, and so I kind of took after my mom in that way. So I did cheerlead in high school. I did track and field, and we moved into my grandfather's house when I was 8 years old. I was just like a granddaddy's girl. I was obsessed with my grandfather, and he just was always doing stuff in the backyard. One of those old school guys. I think of my grandfather as having car grease on his hands. That's what makes me think of my granddad. Car oil on his hands. His hands were always blackened, and he always had a cloth and was wiping them, and somehow always had cash in his pocket and would, give me and my sisters cash. And I was always just kind of fluffing around in the yard with my grandpa, in the woods, doing stuff. So my sisters and I were cutting worms, climbing trees. I was definitely, I would say, a tomboy. I just liked to be outside, which I think is very new to this generation, and everything's behind a screen. But we were active. We were very active. Jump roping, bike riding. Granddad taught me how to ride a bike. Remember the day it happened. Yeah, I loved it, being outside.
Why did you move in with your grandparents at age 8?
Because we were poor. So
Did your parents move in with you?
Yes, and the house was too small for all of us to fit into it, but we made it work. My grandfather came to the apartment that we were living in, which was in this really sort of dilapidated building, and it had roaches. I was not you're not aware of those things so much when you're a kid. And so we just knew that maybe it was once a month. I couldn't even tell you. Maybe it was less or more, but we'd have to sort of take all the pots and pans out of the cabinets because the exterminator would have to come and spray because there was roaches, And that's not, my mother kept a very clean apartment, actually, but it doesn't matter in those sorts of environments. You live like your neighbors live. And so my grandfather just came and said, I don't want my grandbabies growing up like this, because he worked really hard in his life, starting in a sharecropping farm and ending where he did. When my grandfather died, he went back and actually purchased the sharecropping farm in the South.
Wow.
That's where he retired. But he was living up north at that time in Connecticut, and they had a middle-class house, and he just said, I don't want my grandbabies to grow up like this. So we moved into their house, and my sister and I lived in the attic. He put carpet down in the attic and turned it into a room, which I thought was so cool, because I used to love the show Hey Arnold, and Hey Arnold had like an attic too. It's a very, very good show. And my mother and father were in the basement, so we just had to just kind of all fit in the house, and it was the best thing I think that could have happened for my life. It's the single greatest thing that probably changed my life, was moving in with my grandparents and sort of being under my grandfather's patriarchy, if you will.
Is he still alive?
No, my granddad passed a couple of years ago. It's really hard.
Has he seen the rise of Candace?
Yeah, granddad. There was one of these really viral moments where I went to go testify at Congress, and my granddad was behind me. It's a great clip. When Ted Lieu says something, I don't know I think he played a clip of me and tried to apply what I supported Adolf Hitler or something. And you see my granddad in the back. He's like, no, she did not say that. Like, no, she did not say that. And I was like, granddad was going to get up and give Ted Lieu a beat down. Nobody talks to his grandbaby like that. Ted Lieu, calm down. And it's such I'm so happy that was captured actually on camera, because shortly after that, his mind started to go and his memory started to go. And so it's just one of those last memories that I have of my granddad. He was always behind me, whether it was teaching me how to ride a bike and letting go, or like behind me at Congress. My grandparents were just absolutely amazing.
Wow. What would you say to him if he were here today?
I got to say everything I needed to say to my granddad.
That's good. Good for you.
Yeah, because my grandmother died unexpectedly, and so I made a very conscious decision to slow down and make sure that I got to say everything to my granddad. He knows how much I loved him.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So you're with your grandparents all the way through high school?
Until 10th grade, and then we kind of moved into a condo. But all of my formative years are with my grandparents, always being around. And yeah, you wake up in the morning, granddad made breakfast, my grandmother would make dinner, and my grandfather just had a lot of rules for us to follow because he grew up in the South, and it was just like very structured. And my work ethic comes from my grandfather, without question. He had a job since he was 5 years old, like laying out tobacco to dry on a sharecropping farm. So he just got after the day every day.
Wow. How old were you when your parents got divorced?
23.
Oh, 23.
Yeah.
Okay.
They got, my mom and my dad were just one of those couples that.
23?
Yeah. 23.
How long were they married?
Oh gosh. They got married in 93, so they got married after I was born. And then they just were like, there was just a lot of fighting, it wasn't one of those good relationships. And then when we were all out of the house, they called and said they were getting a divorce. And at that point, I remember saying to my dad, no. Now you guys should stay together. Now it should be until death do you part. Now that we're out of the house, you're gonna separate. I remember exactly where I was walking, exactly which street I was walking on in New York State when I got the call. And yeah, they, it was an interesting thing because I got to see in my house two totally different examples of how to live. My grandparents were very conservative, and my grandfather met my grandmother when he was 17, and they stayed married until her dying day. And then I had the opposite example where the generation beneath my grandparents, despite how they had raised them, they were just so different. Like all of my dad's siblings had been divorced, and it was a new culture. And I remember when granddad got sick, started getting sick, I was helping him fix up his house, and we talked about it. And I was like, how do people who are raised in so conservatively kind of have, I guess, more liberal viewpoints on marriage? And my granddad said something, and he was right. It's just the way he delivered it, which is so funny. But he just said, it was those darn hippies. He just says the hippies ruined everything. And it's a valid point. I've done some research, and I'm like, granddad was right. They kind of brought in this sort of sex, love, rock and roll, love who you love. Everything became so much more temporal, I guess. And I am just so my grandfather's child. Like, my viewpoints, I'm going backward. Everybody wants to be progressive. I'm like, I want to be regressive. I want some of that stuff that granddad had.
What did you want to be as a child? What did you want to become occupationally?
What was the first thing I wanted to be? An archaeologist.
An archaeologist?
Yes, I was really into, like, as soon as I learned about Egypt, I had this weird fascination with Egypt. And I don't know, I remember in third grade just wanting to be like, when I grow up, I want to be an archaeologist. That was my first thing I can remember wanting to be. And then you'll probably say, appropriately, I then was convinced I was going to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Definitely see that.
And I would have made a really good lawyer.
You still would.
It's never too late.
It'd probably come in handy for you.
It would. I actually kind of feel like I am a lawyer in many ways. I get sued so much, and I really enjoy talking to my lawyer. He's just become such a friend, and understanding it. I love to read the documents. I mean, other people getting sued. I made a whole series on the Blake Lively series. I do have a love for legal work, but I don't have to be sued to love it. I have to get that straight in my mind. You don't have to be sued to appreciate law. But yeah.
How many times do you think you've been sued?
Too many. Like, I mean, in the last few years, it's been a lot, man. It's been like, I feel like the Daily Wire was like 3 episodes that happened, which felt like a lot. And then I have obviously the Brigitte one, which was a lot. And then I got pulled into the Blake Lively one, which isn't really like being involved. And then they tried to pull me into some Kanye one, not being the person who was sued. But yeah. So I just kind of got familiar with the people that were serving the paperwork. They're great guys, by the way. The servers, they're fantastic. They show up in like motorcycles, like, we love you, like, and we're gonna charge the other guys more. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And then this Brian Harpole one, which I'm being sued because of your show. This is
my show.
Yeah, I should sue you. Brian Harpole's lawyer. I'm gonna drag you into my lawsuit.
We have a running every time the FedEx truck drives around here. We're like, oh fuck, here it comes. I don't even open them anymore. I just send them to.
So funny.
Tim.
Yeah, Well, when Brian Harpole sued me, his lawyer wrote this amazing story, which was just made entirely no sense, where he said that the reason. Basically, they were trying to make the argument that he's not a public figure, which is very important. You have to establish in defamation, are you a public figure or are you a private person? And obviously, he made himself a public figure by going on this podcast and interjecting himself into this Charlie narrative. So they were trying to argue that he's not a public figure. And he basically said he was forced to become a public figure because of me. I'm the reason he had to go on the Shawn Ryan Show to clear his name. And I never covered him on my show once. Never spoke his name on my show before he went on your show, because it was.
So hold on, he's claiming he came here because to counter your narrative.
Yeah.
But you weren't talking about him.
Never said one word about him or the security apparatus, because I knew them and my mind just wasn't there at all until he did your interview, and it was so disastrous in my view, and I think also the view of all the people who watched it. According to the comments, there was just something off about it, and I went, whoa. He's answering questions weird. The stuff that he's saying doesn't really make sense, but that's their argument they're trying to make, because they're trying to get the court to see him as a private figure who only had to come out and do the Shawn Ryan Show, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, defend himself against me. And I'm like, well, that's going to be a tricky argument, considering I never spoke about you ever on my show until you did the Shawn Ryan Show.
So wait a minute, what exactly? What?
It's crazy.
What is he suing you for?
Defamation, which is difficult for me to comprehend, because it's so in the category of opinion. Like the first 3 pages of a lawsuit, he's just kind of calling me an anti-Semite, and I don't know what that has to do with the lawsuit at all. He's not Jewish, last I checked. Neither is Charlie Kirk. But he then moves on by saying that I defamed him because I said that the security team was incompetent. And so he's blaming me for a loss of revenue to his business because I said he's incompetent. Now, I would generally say if you have a business and your job is to provide security and your client dies on the job, that might be the reason you're not getting many clients. Look, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but I don't think people will be lining up to hire the same security people that guarded Charlie Kirk on September 10th. But he thinks it's actually because of me calling him, among many other things, calling him incompetent, asking questions about why they didn't have people on the rooftop that day, saying that like the support they supplied to Charlie's neck was inadequate. I mean, just things that you can see with your own eyes as they're handing him to the car, as they're like holding him to the car, him saying on your show that they didn't provide CPR because he had to stop the bleeding. I have questions about that. If your heart stops, what's it matter if you stop the bleeding? So I'm going to stand by my assessment that he was incompetent. And then the second chunk of his lawsuit is his saying that I guess defamation per se might be his argument, because I asked about whether he was at Fort Huachuca because somebody believes they saw him at Fort Huachuca on the 9th. But he admits in a lawsuit that I texted him 4 times asking him just to say yes or no, so I could just very quickly say, oh, I reached out to him. He said it wasn't him. But his reason for why he didn't answer me, despite me trying to just get an answer, and why he decided to just instead sue me, was because, what was his bizarre legal reason for why he just didn't answer any of my questions? I think he said because, he didn't want me to get famous off of him. I promise you this is his argument, is that the reason he didn't answer... He
didn't want you to get famous off of him.
That I was just going to use it for clicks. So if he had answered me and said, no, I wasn't at Fort Huachuca, then I would have used it for clicks, and he didn't want me to use him for clicks. So that is the thrust of the lawsuit.
So what does he want? Is he suing you for money?
I think, he wants money, and to be determined by a jury, because his business has been affected.
So this shit's actually going to court.
Oh, yeah. Which I'm really okay with, because a lot of the questions that we're just trying to get answered, we can now force him to answer them and bring other people in too to sit down for deposition. So,
do you have a court date?
Not yet, because we still have to, actually, don't quote me on that. I have to check in with my lawyers. We might have I think we have something coming up where we have to file our response the next coming weeks or something.
Where will it happen?
Here
in Nashville?
Yeah, he's got to sue me here. This is where I defamed him, apparently. So I didn't know, did he tell you he was really felt like he had to do the show because of me? It's very strange.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it would have been weird because I never talked about him, so. Hey, can I come on because of Candace not talking about me? It's weird. It's totally wacky. It feels like a PR move to me, to be honest with you, but...
You think it'll go the distance, or you think they'll just drop suit?
I think they filed it in such a sloppy manner that they're hoping the court drops it. And then they can say, well, we tried, we were telling the truth. And there is a lot of that in the court system where people file for PR reasons. I mean, Brigitte is a perfect example of that, where you're doing something that you kind of know you can't win in court, but it allows you to then say, well, we really tried. And obviously we must have been telling the truth or we wouldn't have sued. And that's not the case. I have not changed my mind about Brian Harpole, and I was very thorough in trying to just get him to give me a response. I would have happily taken a response from him, and he still hasn't offered one. He just sued me.
Do they have any other clients?
I don't know. He hasn't, since it was just the initial filing, we haven't gotten into the details of who's not booking him or if someone dropped him, but that would just, to me, seem like common sense, especially when you say, if you watched his interview with you, you wouldn't book him. It's just the presentation.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
What did the defamation do? Is he still working for TPSU?
He's not. My understanding is he's not still working for Turning Point USA. And I did hear through the grapevine that they sent him a cease and desist after all of the flack that he got for his various appearances, things that he was saying that was just making things worse. because he doesn't sound honest when he speaks. He's not clear, and he's also dishonest. I mean, he said, even when I was watching your show, and that was one of the reasons we covered it, was because we instantly learned he presented those messages when you asked him about the rooftop. He shows these messages, and then he says, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, the implication being that this is a conversation he was having, but it wasn't. He was showing you Dan Flood's text messages. So that was strange and dishonest. And yeah, they were also, the discussion wasn't even about Losi Center. The discussion was about the walkway above Charlie. So it seemed like even when he was on the show, he was focused on PR, but he just wasn't very convincing. And that's literally in a lawsuit that I described him as not very convincing, and that's defamatory.
That's defamatory.
And I stand by it. He wasn't very convincing.
Yeah, I probably should have pressed him more. I fucking felt bad though. I mean, it was still really fresh, and the guy's tearing. I've been around a lot of loss, you know, in my previous career, and so I wanted to be respectful. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I think you did the right thing, actually. Because even though the viewers might feel frustration, the reality is that if you had put him under the light, so to speak, he would have clammed up. And we benefited a lot from him just speaking. I'm still benefiting from him just speaking in other parts of that conversation that are being pulled and discussed. Certainly from a lawsuit's sake, it's beneficial that he kept describing things in detail. So I think it was good to sort of let him talk. What
are some of the other gems that you pulled out of my interview with Brian Harper?
I mean, I think at some point, I think it was your interview, it might have been someone else's, where he said that when he got to the hospital and he's like directing the staff or whatever, and he like said that he cut off Charlie's shirt. I mean, that's fantasy. That's full fantasy. That's not how that happened. Everybody knows that. When you get to the ER and somebody is on a stretcher, some random guy who's bringing the person in doesn't start calling the shots in the hospital. So there's a lot of questions about what took place at the hospital, why Kash Patel moved to have the cameras as one of the first acts is to get the cameras down inside of the hospital. It's very strange. The varying stories that they've all told about what took place, why they were all then wearing scrubs. Frank Turek saying that he was on the phone the whole time and didn't realize with his
Who's Frank Turek?
Frank Turek was another one of the people that was in the car.
Okay.
And he's former military. He was there and jumped in the car with them. By the way, that's even weird. I don't know why he jumped in the car with him, to be honest with you. And he was at the hospital, and he tells conflicting stories and says that they did perform CPR. It's all just very strange. It just seems like something, like, why are all of your stories running into each other?
How are those running into each other? What did they say?
Well,
some people are saying they did give him CPR. Some are saying they didn't.
Brian said they did not perform CPR because they were focused on stopping the bleeding. Frank said that they did perform CPR. Brian said that Frank was just in the back seat praying. Frank said that he got involved, which is the reason why he had all the blood on him or whatever. So the discrepancy between the people that are in the car doesn't really make sense.
I mean, I don't know. Do you give CPR to somebody that's been shot in the fucking neck?
Well, if you don't keep someone's heart going, it doesn't matter, right? Like, nothing else matters if your heart stops pumping. So yeah, you would give CPR, I would imagine. You keep CPR going at all times. I'm certainly not a medical professional, but I do know that, like, if your heart stops, you're dead. So you got to keep the heart going. And them not having the ambulance on standby.
I'm not standing up for him. I don't know if you would do CPR.
What would be the point of, if your heart's not going, your heart's not going. And I'm not even saying, and by the way, I'm not even saying that, what was right or what was wrong to do.
You're saying the stories are inconsistent?
I'm saying the stories are not consistent. And that's what has been so troublesome for people that are investigating this. It's, why do you guys all have different stories? Why are there so many lies that have since been unpacked? And initially they said a lot in the beginning, and they've since pivoted on their stories quite a bit.
Why do you think that they repaved that thing? How many days afterwards?
Because by Sunday, they had the person coming out on Sunday. So Charlie got shot at 12:23 on a Wednesday, and they had early morning on Sunday pavers come in. And even before then, they had the soil removed by a separate group of people.
They had the soil removed?
The soil removed first. 10 inches of soil removed first.
Do they do that at any other murder scene? Anywhere?
Absolutely not.
The soil removed? Why the fuck would they have the soil?
Well, they're...
Why? And this is I'm gonna do some videos about this whole thing. But this is one of the reasons why I was hoping Erika have nothing to do with what happened to Charlie or the cover-up thereafter. But these are some of the questions that need to be asked that Erika is not asking that make her look suspicious. Even if you have no clue about what leading up to what happened to your husband, but all these questions that need to be answered, you're not asking. It's just normal for 10 inches of dirt to be dug up immediately after your husband was killed? She's not asking no questions. She just take the narrative that a lone gunman just snipe off your husband while being secured, protected by a multi-million-dollar contract to a security firm. No question asked. This is one of the reasons why I can't see Erika. Until Erika's come out and start asking these questions, start demanding these answered, I can't see her not either she's a what they call it, what's those words, something like that, and then the other one after the fact. Either she know about it or she found out about it and for some reason have to be covering it up. And I believe in the latter. Well, I believe listen. It's a possibility this woman know about it. It's time to take him out, but that's my opinion. But I'm gonna cut it here. I guess I'm gonna have to do multiple videos on this video because it is deep and it seemed like things gonna be getting deeper. I don't even scratch the surface of this interview yet. But one thing I can say, I still don't see one shred of evidence where this young lady is not a genuine friend to Charlie. And let me address something. If a friendship fall apart or break down, that don't have to make you not the person friend anymore. A little story. I have a friend for 18 years. We had each other back like brothers, blood brothers. And there was an issue. We had an issue. We had a disagreement. And for some reason, whether I didn't, in his eyes, I didn't deal with the situation correctly, or in my eyes, he didn't deal with the situation correctly. But that led us to, go our separate ways. We're not friends anymore. But I can say, if tomorrow I heard that something happened to him, based on the friendship that we had, the respect that I had for him, that I still have for him, I would do everything in my power to get to the bottom of what happened to him. That's loyalty. That's beyond whether we are kiki laughing friends anymore. True friends don't stop when you guys can't communicate anymore. So even if, I'm just saying that to say this, even if Candace and Charlie weren't close friends when he died, I can see this genuine friendship in Candace for Charlie. The way how she is eager, unstoppable, going max to get to the bottom of what happened to her friend or her ex-friend, however you want to put it. I can see that. But I'm going to wrap up this one right here. I'm going to get back into... I'm going to have to do another video on this one. I'm going to have to do another video on this one. I have to cover the entire interview. So, until next time, Black Jules TV, walk good, do good, make good follow you. We're out.
Black Jules TV.